Hey everyone, so this is the season finale for Marco Polo season 2, and it's called The Fellowship. When I saw the title of this, I immediately thought Lord of the Rings. And one thing you guys should know about me is I'm a big, sci-fi slash fantasy type of movie watcher. It's not. I mean, I guess you can it kind of crosses over a little bit into TV, but for the most, I mean, because Grimm is kind of fantasy and slash sci-fi, but I mean, it's mostly with the whole fantasy sci-fi thing is mostly with movies. Um, Things like, and so it's pretty evident with like movies like any Marvel movie basically, and series, movie series, Lord of the Rings series, pretty much stuff like that is the kind of sci-fi stuff I really like. As far as movie goes, and so I thought, so for some reason I just like because of the title I thought of Lord of the Rings, and um, I think it kind of actually has a little bit of undertones to Lord of the Rings, at least the Fellowship, like as far as the Fellowship of helping Frodo and everything, because there's like because Marco and Maylan help or Jingham and Biamba and Mayland and Marco are all like kind of like mainly the fellowship of the whole thing. So it's like four people instead of nine, but they're like kind of the fellowship people, and they're trying to protect. Uh, um, they're trying to protect. Uh, well, I mean, maybe not with on Mayland's side, but. I forgot Hundred Eyes too. Damn, how did I forget Hundred Eyes? So there's like Marco, Hundred Eyes, Mayland, Biamba and Jingham are all like the fellowship of protecting Kublai and stuff. So like, and because Kublai is the Frodo, the Lord of the whole Marco Polo. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, see, I'm telling you, I'm always gonna make like movie and TV references because I'm a huge watcher of TV and movies. Um, so yeah, there. I mean, so yeah. Anyway, so let's get into the episode now. So basically, the episode starts off with Niccolo crawling through the desert, and he's clearly been in the desert for at least a couple of days, if not like he's been in there for at least a day or two, if not like a week or longer. I don't think he's been in for like a week or long because I don't think he would have survived that long, especially without water. I mean, food, okay, because it's like because always like the scientists have this thing, or scientists have this thing where it's like 3 minutes for air, 3 days for water, and 30 days for food. So I doubt that. I mean, air is already covered because I mean, this is fucking Earth, so I mean, you can't really kind of not be on Earth and not breathe in air if you're a mammal. Um, but the whole and the 30 days without food thing he's already covered because I mean he could go 30 days without food. And obviously they don't know this but at this point in time, but still kind of still applies. And but the whole water thing, you can't really be in the desert without water for more than 3 days. So he can't really have been in the desert for more than like 3 days max. Um, and so basically he's clearly been in the desert for a long time based off of looking at his face. And so then you kind of you see a shadow of a person stand over him. And you don't see who it is, but you assume it's one of the Crusader people um, because they have a cross with them, and you can see the outline of the cross, the shadow of the cross on the sand next to Niccolo. Sorry, I was gonna say Marco. I don't know why. But yeah, you can see the cross of the Crusader dude in the sand. And then it goes to the opening credits, and then that happens for like maybe 30 to 60 seconds. And then Marco rides to Karakoram where the challenge is supposed to take place. And as a man addresses the people gathered in Karakoram, Kublai and Kaidu kind of angrily talk. And then Marco kind of sits behind Kudelun and says that he's sorry about her brother, and Kudelun is wondering like, why he didn't deliver his father to Khan, and Marco says that he would have delivered his father to death. I mean, suppose. I mean, I guess I can understand because he's a father and everything, even though he's a fucking bastard. Sorry. And then it goes to Sook, Akhmed's little sidekick, and he's telling Akhmed that there is no one coming in or out. And Akhmed then has Sook kneel before him, and Akhmed, under the ruse of the Khan's orders, says that Sook will become Orlok. And with this title, Sook can then command the Khan's army. And the general isn't really happy about this. So he kind of steps forward and voices his concern over a non-Mongol commanding the army. So Sook kind of, gets all angry that the general is challenging him, and so he takes out his sword, and the general takes out his sword, and it's just like, anyway. The Akhmed tells the general that well, first the general says that he's unnerved about the whole thing after they both put their swords away, and first the general didn't say he was unnerved. He says that he's skeptical, and he's not unnerved like Akhmed claims. Akhmed is like, well, under normal circumstances, the general would be losing his head for voicing his skepticism, basically. And Akhmed is asked what he can do to, kind of assuage the general's concerns, and the general's like, I'd be happy if I was assured that these are actually the Khan's orders. And Akhmed then tells him to go back to his post, defend it, and then he will, so he can prove the Khan that the Khan's actually making these orders, and then come to him when he actually proves it, which of course he's not gonna do, because the Khan really hasn't approved of these orders, so of course he's not gonna fucking tell his ass at any point. Then it goes to Jingham. You don't really know it's Jingham, but at first, but you see Jingham making his way through the crowd to the gates, and asks to petition the vice regent when a guard talks to him, and then Jingham takes off his hood, and soldier tells another to open the gates and let Jingham in. So that's what happens. Back in Karakoram, Kudelun gives Kaidu something to drink. Though she kind of says it's water, but when you're able to see what's in the drink or in the cup, it's not water. But he drinks it anyway. So then she tells him there's honor waiting until they announce the vote, but he's kind of skeptical about that. And they talk about that for like a minute or so. And then it goes to Marco going up to Kublai and asks, "May I be of service, sire?" Kublai tells him to be of service is to make himself disappear. I'm gonna let Kublai be a little bit salty right now, because I get he's still kind of bitter about Akhmed and everything, so I'm gonna let his ass be a little bitter. I can understand it, and I'll let it go for now. But I'm not gonna keep allowing Kublai to be bitter as fuck just because what Akhmed did was because Akhmed was a fucking jackass. Anyway, Kaidu's mother then says Kublai is rubbing Kaidi's defeat in his face. But Cuddles isn't buying it and says, his defeat? I thought it was your house. This is your defeat. You are to blame for all this. I'm just like, yes, girl, drag her ass, please. And I was like, anyway, Kaidi's mother says that she is fully to blame. And Cuddles then asks her if it was always Ahmed who put her up to it, or if it was of her own doing. Then her grandmother responds back that if it wasn't for Ahmed, she wouldn't have even forced Kaidi to challenge Kublai in the first place. And then Kublai says she was never going to fight fair even from the beginning. The grandmother responds with the question, why start a fight you can't win? And Kublai says, because now Oris is dead and the father is destroyed. And then, I'm pretty sure Kaidi's mother kind of argues a little bit more after that, but Kublai doesn't say anything after that. Then it goes to Chabi and talking to Nagui and about Nagui's feelings on not being a real mother because she can't produce milk apparently, and so she feels like she's not a real mother because she can't produce milk and therefore feed her children. So, I guess I can understand that, especially back then they really didn't have bottles. I don't even know if they had bottles until 1950s. I'm not even sure about that, but I don't think they had bottles until the last 50 years or so, if it's that far back. So I can see how she would feel defeated that she can't produce milk on her own and therefore feed her kids, and therefore would have to get someone else to feed her kids. So I can understand it. But Chabi is like, you're a real mother. Just because you can't feed them now doesn't mean that you can't still mother them and take care of them and be a mother to them, basically. So yeah, they talk about that for a little while before it goes to Kublai addressing the people, and then it kind of goes back and forth between him and Kaidu, addressing the chieftains and everything. And then during the whole thing, Chabi comes up and sits down, and she and Kaidu's mother and go back and forth insulting each other, and I was like, these people, this woman, I kind of want the mother to die. I kind of want her to die, and I'm just like, she has nothing nice to say about anybody. Nothing fucking nice to say about any fucking body, nobody. And I'm just like, well, damn. I can understand Kublai and his wife, and pretty much anybody in Kublai's camp, but she literally has nothing nice to say about anybody, even her own kid. And I'm just like, fuck. Nobody can win with her ass. Nobody can fucking win with her ass at all. And I'm just like, die already. Shit. Nobody can fucking win with her ass anymore. Nobody can fucking win. And so I'm just sitting here thinking, just please die already. Literally nobody can fucking win. Nobody can fucking win with her. And it's just like, I want you to die. I really want you to die right now. Then it goes to Jingham, who goes in front of Ahmed, and Suk takes Jingham's sword, and Jingham says he should have left Ahmed to die in that cave, and Ahmed's like, well, yeah, maybe you should have. Ahmed then asks Jingham where Marco, Biamba, and 100 Eyes are, and Ahmed Jingham doesn't really say anything, so Ahmed sends Suk out to find all three of them and bring them back. Suk voices concerns about leaving Ahmed alone, but Ahmed says, well, Jingham isn't here to kill me, he's here to persuade me to surrender. And then Suk just leaves with most of the army. There's there's maybe 5 or people or less. Well, it's between 3 and 5 soldiers left in the royal court. That stay there with him, and then Suk and his army, as Suk and his army leave the royal court, you see 100 Eyes and Biamba seen within the crowd, and Biamba tells 100 Eyes that the soldiers looking for them, so Biamba and 100 Eyes leave, and 100 Eyes brings Biamba to a secret passageway. Then it goes back to Karakorum, where Marco goes to Nagui's tent but can't go in because Chabi has two soldiers standing in the standing in front of the tent doors, and Chabi says he shouldn't be there if he actually cares for her. And so he asks Chavi if it's true what Nui told him, and she doesn't really deny. She doesn't really confirm it, but she doesn't deny it either. Marco tells her she did a bad thing and betrayed his father for Kublai, and that he, just basically betrayed his father for Kublai and everything. Chavi's like, well, Kublai is ignorant at best, in acknowledging the sacrifices for of those in his service. And then she further tells him that he should just go home. And he's like, well, I can't because Kublai won't let him. Even though literally the previous episode, Kublai told Marco that Marco's service is no longer needed and therefore is released, basically. She says eventually Kublai will come to the thinking that foreigners will only betray him like Ahmed betrayed him. And Kublai will eventually come to that conclusion with Marco, so therefore he shouldn't be there when the day comes that Kublai just decides that Marco is out to excuse me. Sorry about that. When Kublai, accuses him of being traitorous and everything. So, she says, ride back west, or if you ride back west, she'll protect his secret, by saying that he went east, so long as she protects her secret, of forcing Nergui having sex with that stable boy. Sorry, I was blanking on her name for some reason. And so before he leaves, he wants her to say goodbye to Nergui for him, and I guess she will. I guess she decides to do it because she doesn't really say yes or no. But anyway, goes back to where the vote is supposed to take place, and Arban asks Kublai and Kaidu one question each. He says to Kaidu, Kaidu claimed to win no allegiances outside with outside forces, yet acquired an army of Christians and conspired with Akhmet to overthrow Kublai anyway before the challenge. The same Akhmet who now occupies and locks down the capital city. His real question now to Kaidu is if he hid behind the banner of Kublai to slaughter his Arban's village beneath it. Kaidu doesn't really answer right away. He stalls basically, and as Kaidu's stalling, Arban keeps asking him, keeps hounding Kaidu to answer the question. Like one of the things Kaidu says is that the reason he did everything he did was so he could secure the position of Khan and undo what Kublai has done, basically. And then Arban. But Arban still doesn't let up. He keeps saying, "Answer the fucking question, dude. Answer the fucking question." And then eventually Kaidu says, "Yes, I did." Then Arban directs his attention to Kublai and asks the following question: if he's elected to stay Khan, what will you do with Kaidu? And Kublai says he'll take Kaidu, all of his cannon, all of his sympathizers, and bury them in Karakorum. That's pretty much the answer that everyone was looking for, because otherwise, what was the point of making Khan? Anyway, so Hanjinais and Miyama make their way through the secret passageway now, to where 100 Eyes was first held captive when he was first brought to Kamblock. And Biamba says, like, oh, this is where a blind man would always manage to get out, or this is how he was always managed to, like, get out. Then 100 Eyes and Biamba make their way to inside Kamblock, and they come across the general. The general says that he needs their weapons, but Biamba's isn't having it, and Biamba's like, well, you know you're following a traitor, right? And Biamba's, or the general says, he's only following the vice regent at the Khan's orders. Biamba says they couldn't have stopped them at his father's orders. And the general doesn't believe that and tells them to hand over their weapons and go meet with Ahmed and the prince. Biamba explains that they came with the prince so they could gain entry unseen. And he asks the general if it's a coincidence that they are there. The general thinks that Biamba is lying, so Biamba says, well, what about the monk? Do you think that he's unfaithful to the Khan? Eventually, they take their weapons anyway, so... and then you see Cuddalun in a field when an eagle comes up with a note attached to it. And back in her tent, she says when her grandmother comes in that the message can save the family. And it's from Ahmed, but most likely intended for her grandmother. Cuddalun says Kaidu says if Kaidu reads it to the chieftains, it may just be enough to destroy the Khan. And Cuddalun wishes for the lies and deceit to end, but her grandmother says, well, if Kublai is serving Khan to keep his reign of terror going, the lies and deceit will keep on going, basically. So Cuddalun says nothing good comes from so much pain and anguish. And her grandmother reveals that she made Kaidu cut her from her mother and throws the pain and anguish line back in Cuddalun's face, basically. And she says, well, destroy the message or don't, but don't come at me anymore, basically. Then Jingam is seen asking Ahmed if he really expects the army to keep following him even after the Khan's return. But Ahmed says that Kublai may not even return as the Khan. And then Ahmed continues by asking Jingam, how do you think I've been able to go undetected all these years? Did you really think I wouldn't have a plan even if Kublai wins? Look where I sit and look where you stand. And Ahmed says he wasn't manipulated by anyone when Jingam asked him to just, plead that he was manipulated. And Ahmed, wants the record to say that that a boy who was ripped from his parents was able to rise to the ranks and rip the throne from the most powerful man on earth. And Ahmed says this isn't a parley. There are no terms for a surrender. And Jingam won't be leaving here alive, basically. It's just Ahmed, as usual, being a fucking ass. Anyway, so Kaidu and Cuddalun summon Kublai and Chabi, and Kaidu says he tells Kublai that he got word from Ahmed about Princess Kokachin and her children, and he asks Kublai if he should read the message or if he should let Chabi explain. Kaidu says if Kublai doesn't give up the title of Khan by the sound of the horn that will start the vote, then Kaidu will go into the crowd and start whispering about about Kokachin's children. Kublai then asks what Kaidu is talking about, that all Kaidu says is he can protect his throne, or Kublai can either protect his throne or he can protect his family before they just leave. Then back in Marco's tent, it seems like he's packing, but he really isn't, and he decides to cut through Ngui's tent and visit her. He wakes her up and asks why she told him, and she says it could have been him, and it could have those children could have been his, and everything, and she says, tell me you love Ngui, but he calls her Kokachin, so she tells him to just go, which he eventually does. And then it goes back to Kublai and Chabi alone, and he's clearly upset, and he's like, you know what, Chabi, I won. I won. Like, I did what you advised me to do, but now I must give it all back, give it all away, all because of Kaidu. Like, what the fuck? Um, and Kublai continues to angrily say that Jingham had 4 wives and nothing to show for it until just the right moment, which is right now, like just before the cruel tie, and then he angrily shouts at Chabi, whose son is it that was sent to his throne. Chabi said it was no one, and that she destroyed her family, and kind of Kublai apologized to Chabi, and they kind of reconcile as much as they can for the moment, and Kublai asks who else knows about the babies, and Chabi explains Kokachin, Marco, and obviously Kulan and Kaidu know about it. And Chabi says that she has sent Marco back to Venice, and no one would care in the West when, Kublai kind of, when Kublai protests at Marco knowing. And then it goes to actually Marco riding in his horse out of Karakoram across the land, and everything. So then it goes back to Kublai going to Kaidu's tent with a peace offering, wine, and it's most likely laced with poison. Kublai asks how you should give up being Khan, and Kaidu says just go out and tell them he will let Kaidu become Khan. Basically, that's the only what he addressed. That's like pretty much the only solution, really. I mean, come on. Then Chabi goes to Nagui's tent, tells the guards to leave and never to return before going into the tent and realizing Nagui's not in there. And she comes back out and sees Nagui leaving. It goes back to Kublai pouring the wine for both of him and Kaidu, and says to a peaceful transition. And Kaidu says he didn't want to win this way. Kublai tells him that he was prepared to destroy Kaidu right from the start, but was led off that course. Then he tells Kaidu he won, and then the horn blows. Nagui is then seen walking up to the river / lake. I don't know if it's one or the other. It doesn't seem like it's a river just because there's no current. It seems I don't know. It seems like it's a lake. Anyway, so she walks into it. Chabi calls to Nagui by saying Kokachin, and Nagui stops, and so Chabi goes up to her and she says, "I'm sorry," and Nagui says it's fine before she slips under the water, and then Chabi just holds her head down. And then you see Marco making his way across the country, then stops and he notices an army of men making their way towards Karakoram, and so he turns back around and rides back to Karakoram immediately. Biamba and 100 Eyes then are escorted into the royal court, and Ahmed tells the general that he will be rewarded, then tells Suk to take the prisoners to a cell. Suk then kind of leaves for a second. He don't really know where he goes, but anyway, he leaves. I assume that he's gonna go make the cells ready, but then anyway, Kaidu is then seen asking if he can do things differently, and Kublai says he can, and then Kublai then tells Kaidu to drink with him, but Kaidu pours the drink out and says he knows that the wine was laced with poison, basically, and Kublai then attacks Kaidu, and as Kublai attacks Kaidu, Biamba, Jingham, and 100 Eyes start fighting with Ahmed and the soldiers, and it kind of goes between Kublai and Kaidu fighting, and Biamba, Jingham, and 100 Eyes fighting with the soldiers and the royal court, and Ahmed. Jingham then stabs Ahmed, but Ahmed escapes, and Jingham eventually kills Suk. Ahmed makes the way back to his old room and locks his door. Then it goes back to Kaidu, trying to strangle Kublai, but then Marco comes in and kills Kaidu with a sword. Marco then tells Kublai that they needed to leave and right this second. Back in Ahmed's room, Mei Ling confronts him tells him he might want to hang on to his sword, as he, you know, kind of makes it so that he's about to put the sword down, or the knife down. He turns around and says that he thought he would never see her again, and she asks if he knows how concubines are trained. She says they're trained by putting them in a room full of mirrors for days until time, like, you know, kind of stops making sense, and basically disorients them and everything about what day it is, and everything, and what time of day it is, and then they were told that they could never show one emotion, which was anger, because no man apparently wants a woman who can threaten him. And to survive, they learned to suppress it, basically suppress anger, which is not all that common as today, even in Western countries, because women are always told to not let their anger show because it's not ladylike. And she's like, well, we're not fucking robots either. I mean, we're allowed to fucking show anger once in a while. And if we're showing anger, if you show anger, we're called bitches, or like, where we must be on our periods or some shit. Like, I get plenty angry even when I'm not on my fucking period. So, but anyway, that's besides the point. That's for another topic altogether. That's a whole different video. Anyway, so as she continues talking, she explains that she would have fought for him, or even died in his ownership, even though she would never have supported him. And Ahmed is kind of trying to backpedal here and say, selling your daughter was a momentary lapse in judgment. But she's like, nah, selling my daughter was always part of your plan. It was always part of your damn plan. So get it fucking right, man. Do not get it fucking twisted, man. Do not get it twisted. And then he says if he had known this is how it would have ended, he would have eviscerated her daughter in front of Mei Lin. And then she says she is glad it's ending this way, before stabbing him fatally in the gut. And a few moments later, Biamba, Jingham, and 100 Eyes forced their way in. And she explained she could have kept running with the daughter, but she clearly didn't. Jingham asks where she is, and she says her daughter's heading south to protect her. And 100 Eyes clearly seems to know that it's Lotus that's, you know, looking after Mei Lin's daughter. And Jingham says for Mei Lin to never return, and 100 Eyes says that he will escort Mei Lin to her daughter and make sure that she stays there. And then Jingham tells him to meet them back there in Kambalak after he makes sure that his father has his victory. Excuse me. And then as Jingham, Biamba, and 100 Eyes, Jingham, Biamba, 100 Eyes, and Mei Lin ride out of the city on the horses, you see Ahmed's body hanging from a noose. And then you see 100 Eyes and Mei Lin go, I guess, to their right, as you know, they're coming towards the camera, and Biamba and Jingham keep going straight, I think. And then eventually Jingham and Biamba make their way back to Karakoram and find it deserted with a cross stuck inside the land. So basically that is the end of the episode, and therefore end of season 2. And I was right about Ahmed. I was right. I thought maybe perhaps he was gonna die by the middle of the second season, middle of season 2, meaning by the end of season or episode 5. But it seemed kind of unlikely, just because I thought Sadao was gonna die before the episode 10 in season 1. But I kind of figured that it would, like, he wouldn't, but I was hoping that he would. But yeah, I figured, I mean, if they're gonna kill him, if they didn't kill him by season or episode 5, they would have definitely killed him by this episode, and I was right. I wasn't gonna predict how, because I mean, it could have been anyone. Personally, I felt like it could have been anyone who kills him. I realized it was gonna be Mei Lin when like right before he went right after he went into his room and they cut and before Mei Lin said anything, I figured it was gonna be her. Mainly because she wasn't in the entire episode 9, and she wasn't in most of episode 10. She was only there in episode 10 for like 5 minutes at most. So, um, so yeah, it was. I mean, I kind of figured it was gonna be her at the last second, but before they actually showed her. But before then, I didn't know who it was gonna be, because it could have been any number of people. It could have been Jingham. It could have been Marco. It could have been Kublai himself. It could have been Chabi. It could have been Hundred Eyes again. But yeah, it could have been anybody. It honestly could have been anybody. Um, so I didn't want to necessarily make the prediction of who it was gonna be. I guess I could have made the prediction when she didn't show up at all in episode 9. But I guess I wasn't really thinking about about how she wasn't in episode 9 at all. But yeah, but I definitely just knew that he was gonna end up dying. I just didn't know how, and I just didn't know by whom. So all I knew was that he was gonna die, and so I called it, and it was true. Um, so I am going to continue um, with the prediction that Marco was going to have impregnated Sheree from a few episodes back, and I'm gonna project that into season 3, since obviously it wasn't even brought up in this episode that he slept with her. Um, I'm gonna say definitely by episode 5, um, she's gonna show up pregnant and and announce that it's Marco's baby. Definitely by episode 5. I don't think they're gonna wait until the season finale of season 3 to announce it. I think they're gonna bring it up between episodes 1 and 5 of season 3. Just because, I mean, that is a great overall arching plot point that they could have throughout in season 3. Um, and then I think Nagui not being the real Blue Princess is gonna crop back up in season 3, and that is going to play a big part in obviously her kids not being Jingham's, and therefore not being of any royal blood, is gonna come back up in season 3. So this one is kind of like a two-parter, where it's like not only is it tied to just Nagui's um, not actually being royal, but it's tied to her children who are of no royal blood, and not even Jingham's at all. So I think the whole Jingham's, the babies not being Jingham's, is going to come back up, because there's no point in bringing it up in season 2 and having other people find out about it if it's not going to be significant later on in season 3. So I think that's going to be another plot point where Nagui's non-royal lineage is going to come up because of her babies not being Jingham's. So there's that. There's that second whole plot line that is going to come out about. Let's see. I think that's all of them for now. I think that's honestly all of them for now. I don't know where Cuddlin went, though, because you don't really see her in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the episode, so I don't know where the fuck her ass went. Possibly with her grandmother, because you don't see the grandmother either. So Possibly, but we're definitely gonna see more of the Crusaders, along with Niccolo and the uh, Pope, um, Pope Gregory X. We're gonna see more of him, and that's obviously gonna be a major plot point into season 3 because that came up. That whole Pope situation uh, came up in like episode 5 or 6, and so it was towards the later half of this season where you kind of see that. So that's definitely gonna be a major plot point in season 3 as well. If not nothing else that I predicted is gonna be coming back, that's definitely gonna come back. So I think what I think with that though is they're obviously gonna, the Christians and the Crusaders with the Christians, um, and they're gonna face off with Kublai. I think that's gonna be the main focal point of the season. Um, that's gonna be the main skirmish as far as like the major plot point. Major plot point goes. I think that's going to be the major plot point. So it's going to be like the A plot point. I think subplot points are going to be Marco having impregnated Kublai, or not Kublai, impregnated the Sharai woman, and then I think that's going to be like a C plot point, and then like the whole baby is not being of any royal blood. That's going to be the B plot point. So that's going to be like the second major plot point. But the third plot point is Marco having impregnated the Sharai woman. So I think that's all the predictions I'm going to make for now. And with that, I can't wait to see season 3 of Marco Polo. If they make it, I hope they make it. It seems like they will make it anyway. I love this entire season. I do not know why everyone was ragging on the story of season 2. It wasn't that bad actually. I think it was better in many ways because because of the fact that it wasn't just an outside force threatening Kublai. It was actually someone in his own family who was threatening him in his way of life. And it was 2 family members. It wasn't just one, it was 2. Which one was more hurtful than the other, but because it was Ahmed who started, who had betrayed him, and I mean, yeah, Kaidu kind of helped, but I mean, the brunt of the sting was Ahmed was supposed to be his son, even though he was adopted son, and so yeah, it's like, so I mean, that's why I like this whole season a lot better, because it wasn't just an outside force like Sadao trying to hurt and dethrone Kublai. It was someone who Kublai thought he knew and trusted very well. So I thought it was better. I thought it was 10 times better than the first season. So anyway, so I'm excited to see the 3rd season and see what happens in the 3rd season. I'm assuming it's not going to come out until at least April and May of next year. So that's what I assume. It's not gonna come back until April or May of next year, because they just released this season 2 last month on July 1st. So I'm assuming that they're now kind of filming the episodes, and they're going to, do production on them, like cut it and stuff, so that they have the episodes, and that's gonna take until about April or May next year. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a while till we see the episodes of season 3, but I'm willing to wait. So there's that. So yeah, with that said, like this video if you like this, like what I've talked about in this particular episode. please not hesitate to comment below, like I encourage you guys to all do if you want to talk to me about the episodes so far. And hit subscribe if you want to get notifications of any future videos that I put up. And I will see you guys in 11/22/63 next week. Bye.